There's no darling with God. Just for me, Jack. I dey go Ghana. You never thought you dey from back.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
Rise and shine. Let's get ready to take on the day. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
Welcome back, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The time is 7:45 in St. Vincent and the Eastern Caribbean. You're listening to Ariane. With me is Roleza, and we are Activated Mornings this morning. In case you're just joining us, we're discussing the 20-year-old who stole approximately above $2,000 from Cash Money Auto over a 4-month period. I think the last thing you were saying, Roleza, is that persons have different avenues that they could lean on, and based on her relationship with her parents, she could have asked her parents for help in this situation.
Okay, let me just say one thing on this thing. All right, so Crampel, the question that I asked with regards to the Saharan dust, Crampel saying I ever knew anything about Saharan dust until about 2 years ago. I did not grow up with that either. All right. So just to take some comments on the discussion that we had, he's also saying my thoughts exactly, Roleza. She did not just steal the cash. She used an elaborate scheme to steal. Right. We also have Josh was saying poverty is no excuse for stealing. I live in an assumed affluent society and petty theft is rampant. All right. We also have someone else saying, Trevor, good morning to you as well, Trevor. Greed and laziness and entitlement. People have got to a stage where working for a living is so tiring, but want the latest mobile phone and shoes. I know a lot of people with professional jobs yet have side jobs, which they do to make money. There are so many ways to make a living, honestly. All right.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what Trevor is saying.
Right. So the point that we got to Ari was I was saying that if she is at the age of 20, right, because you're making the point of her wanting to assert her independence, not necessarily wanting to lean on her parents. Now, the irony in this situation is that she found herself in trouble, and it's the same parents who she's had to lean on, right? So yes, it is maybe, yes, she was trying to assert that independence, but one of the other things that I noticed, Ari, is that the mother was the one who was actually shielding her. She covered her with her blanket to protect her from her photo from being taken from the media. So, I saw it as a lioness looking out for her cub, right, in this situation, in terms of trying to protect her child, to cover her child's face from the media, and by extension would be to sort of take that public embarrassment off of her in terms of us being able to know exactly how this young lady looked, right? So back to the point. There are times when I do have to wonder if, as Trevor did say, it's a case of entitlement, right? Is it a case where young persons are trying to live the life, right? They are trying to be out there. They're trying to be flashy. They're trying to floss. They're trying to appear as if they are much better off than they really are, especially those who do not come from families that are wealthy. There are many times when I look at certain things that young people engage in, certain things that they do, certain things that they wear, certain places that they attend. And I always have to ask the question, like, where is it that they're getting this money from, right? No, I cannot say that everybody is stealing. Of course, I will never say that. But I do sometimes have to wonder if many of them are trying to live the life they cannot legitimately afford. Demonis saying, greed is, good morning, that is greed. Most people can't see money and leave it. I believe people who steal should be made to let everyone know.
I really hope that people do feel that way all across the board. I'll forever sing this song here on Activated Mornings. I hope people feel that way straight across the board. Because when persons of influence stealing from us, we tend to maybe they're just making a mistake, or we tend to dismiss it, or it tend to blow over, or sometimes it never even comes out. And if it is that person says certain things, then I could tell you. A friend had expressed to me when she was in her 20s, she had moved out, lived with she had a roommate, early 20s, wanted to establish her independence, and the said roommate is the child of someone with a position here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines of influence, someone within the parliament they're a child of. And that person, that child of that person, was stealing from her, at least based on her story.
Mm-hmm.
That person was late on rent. That person was stealing from a number of persons. But again, you won't hear something like that coming out. You won't, because they then have the resources to handle that situation in whatever way that they're going to handle it. I just said that to say it's not always a situation where persons just feel comfortable just running back to their parents as soon as something gets tough. Again, it's something that people praise and promote when it's in movies, series, it's on social media. You read certain stories was like, yes, I would do the same thing. It's praised until you come into a situation where this happens, and then now we have to condemn it. But it should be condemned all across the board.
Well, I guess it's who it is that you're talking to, because I would condemn these situations all across the board. Is it that you're generally going to hear? Right. But and this is one of the other things to Ari. Was a survey done to find out how many persons are going to condemn it all across the board? Right. I can't
remember the story of Robin Hood. Remember, Robin Hood is a hero.
Who stole from
But just yesterday I was watching over a Martin Lawrence movie, Blue Streak, I think it was, where he pretended to be a police officer to break into a station and steal back a diamond, and he ended up getting off. We see it every day where it's being praised.
Yeah, well, I don't know about it being praised, because I mean, Tiffin is Tiffin.
Yeah, that's your personal feeling, but be realistic towards the situation in public perception.
Right, so this is what I'm saying, Ari. Was a survey done to find out whether or not the greater majority of persons turn a blind eye to stealing, or do they turn the blind eye to who has stolen? Right? That's what it is that I'm asking. Because remember, not everybody is vocal in terms of the points or the position that they're holding. So, I think there was something else I said I was going to touch on, and I forget to know. I forget. Keep talking. I gotta figure it out.
What Crumpel said there?
All right. Ari, you can't blame the public for lack of outrage if the public doesn't know. And I agree with Roleza. Stealing doesn't get a pass from anyone regarding of societal status.
Okay.
Right.
We'll see. A story will come out again, and we'll see.
Now, it's the same like justifying, like, well, let's say white collar crime. I cannot justify white collar crime. I cannot make excuses for it. I cannot justify or condone scammers, especially those who are stealing from retirees, etc., taking their last life savings to do what? To just live their life.
Joshua is saying Robin Hood did not steal for personal gain, but was he stealing?
Take that up with you and Joshua. That I did not comment. You take that up with you and Joshua. Joshua is the one who responded with that.
Hey.
Stephen is Stephen. That's it in my book.
That's why I tried to show you that they will, but you would see person's perception change depending on the situation.
Thief is thief. Standing before God to say the same thing. Thief is thief. Right? Yes, but to young people out there, while it is that I realize I don't want to blame everything on social media, because that is definitely wrong, right? But I know that many of you sometimes find yourself in a position where you feel as though you are left out, right? Especially when it's a case of, you're seeing other persons on social media having this, they having that, they go in here, they go in there, right? Everything is a picture, 40 gram, because you have to make your life look as if you are living the life, right? And I think maybe sometimes that does play a little bit of does play a part in persons' self-esteem, or they feel as if they're not validated enough. But the thing of it is that in life, you have to, as I said before, you have to creep before you run, right? Because of the fact that at 20 years old, it's not possible for you to live the life of a 30-year-old, a 45-year-old, right? In terms of, let's say, wanting to have this, have that, have car, have your own house, be independent. It is going to take some time. How many persons out there? Well, I know persons are going to say that sometimes even having one job, it's difficult to find one job, right? But how many persons actually say, well, let me use the skill or the talent that I have to supplement my income? Or how many persons say, well, if I'm working a standard 5 hour, a 5 day work week, how about on the weekends approach a supermarket so that I can get some additional money, work at a bar to get some additional money, to have that second job, So I cannot under any circumstances see somebody still. And one of the other things that I needed to point out with this particular article, is that yes, you're working at a cash register and you see the amount of money inside of the till, inside of the cash pan, right? It always reminds me of a situation with children where children would see a parent with $100 bill and ask the parent, mommy or daddy, could you buy me a biscuit? And the parent says, I have no money, right? The thing of it is that children do not recognize that this $100 bill has to do so many things with it. So in essence, they really don't have that excess funds to buy certain things. It's the same with when you see a cash register. You see the cash register filled with money, but you have to ask yourself, what all does the employer have to do with this money, right? So it's not a case where there is excess money. Not all the times that there are many businesses who are just, what's that word? They just balancing the books. There's another term for it, but I can't remember right now, right? They're just balancing the books, right? Not everybody is necessarily making that excess money in terms of profit. So you can't just assume that because you see the money there, that means that money is flowing.
The statement that you made earlier about persons stealing or whatever for Instagram, that's a blanket statement. That's
no, it's just
because
something.
You said at 20 years old, it kind of sounds like you were speaking about the situation.
No, so I'm talking about young people generally. Yeah,
okay.
Young people could be between I think the age of youth stops at 35. But anyhow, just young people generally, or people generally. All right, because it's not just young people who steal. People generally who do these things just to make it seem to others that they're living the good life. That's the point.
And someone says, on the live, a lot of people have justified the Robin Hood as the recipient of the other people's goods. And that is very, 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 very much true. But I do think that at a certain age, you just want to prove that, okay, I am capable of doing this on my own. And then outside of social media influence and all of that, you might see persons in your neighborhood and you hear their stories, because a lot of persons who are able to acquire wealth at a young age, they do not do so by legal means. There are a lot of persons, and people know who the people are, that are stealing from people, that are running scams, that are doing different things, and they seem to be living a successful life. You see them. Anyways, I don't want to go in too much on that, but that could be an influence as to why it is that persons are stealing, not necessarily to impress anybody, but they feel like, okay, this is how I can get my start to get to where I want to be, because that seems to be the route that other persons are using who are in fact prominent, or in fact quite successful in whatever avenue that they are in life. But at the end of the day, stealing is stealing, and stealing is wrong. You don't know what it is that how it is that Cash Money came to acquire the business. You don't know what is it that they had to go through. You don't know the taxes that they have to pay, the penalties that they have to pay. You don't know if, let's say a case where they don't own the building, they have to pay rent. There are expenses that businesses have that persons don't see. So you can't just look at money and think, okay, well, let me take from them because these people don't have money. Let me take from them. You're not supposed to be stealing in general, but we really, really have to normalize condemning the stealing, because if it is that you see it is portrayed in movies, it is portrayed in series, it is a general thought across the world, because this is not Simmons and Grenade is by far not the only place where you see people stealing and scamming and all these things. When you hear these things, you have to condemn them immediately. And I do hope that the parents in this situation were able to sit down the child and have a proper conversation with the child as to what it is that she went wrong, because at the end of the day, she is a young adult. She's 20 years old. There are things in life that she has not learned as yet. As opposed to when children go wrong, you usually find that they're attacked more from their parents than anybody else.
And I think at the end of the day as well, so you have to think about your reputation. Now, yes, maybe it's a case where this one came to the media's attention, and let's say more stories come to media attention. You, at the end of the day, you have to think of your reputation. You're only 20. You're now starting your working life. You know, do you want to have to be remembered for this particular incident? There is still time for you to redeem yourself. And I want, in a sense, for us to be, let's say, a forgiving society, in that we're not going to hold this against her, but she also has to be able to prove herself at her next place of employment. Because if she's placed in another position of trust, that she does not misuse this trust. So let's see what happens with her. Maybe we will know further how she develops as an adult. Maybe we would, maybe we wouldn't know. But I sincerely want to wish her all the best, and let this be a deterrent for other persons in similar workplaces to not do this, because at the end of the day, you have to think of what your reputation is.
All right, and it's 8 o'clock, soon to be 8:01 here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and your time check was brought to you by New